The morning started like any other morning on New Perth Colony. Children walked to school under the orange sky. Workers headed to the mining platforms that floated above the planet's surface. Families ate breakfast and talked about ordinary things. Nobody knew that in less than an hour they would all be dead. Admiral Elena Curie sat in her office on Earth, drinking coffee and reading reports. She commanded humanity's defense fleet, but there was not much to defend against. Humans had been traveling between stars for only 30 years. They built colonies on 12 worlds. They mined minerals and grew food. They had never met another intelligent species. Space seemed empty and peaceful. The alarm started screaming at exactly 0847 hours. Elena dropped her coffee cup. It shattered on the floor, but she did not notice. Red lights flashed across every screen in her office. Her assistant ran into the room, his face white with fear. "Admiral, we lost contact with New Perth," he said. His voice shook. Horizon Station 2 and Nova Brasilia, all three colonies just went silent at the same time. Elena's heart pounded in her chest. She pulled up the satellite feeds. What she saw made her blood turn cold. Where New Perth had been, there was only fire. The entire planet burned. Horizon Station, a massive space station that housed 500,000 people, was now just scattered pieces of metal floating in the dark. Nova Brasilia looked like someone had carved a hole straight through the planet's crust. "Get me every ship we have," Elena said quietly. Her hands did not shake. They never shook, even when her world was falling apart. "Get me eyes on those systems now." The next hour felt like a nightmare. Reports came in piece by piece, each one worse than the last. A patrol ship near New Perth had survived. Its captain, Kwame Ose, sent a recording. Elena watched it with her senior officers crowded around her screen. The video showed space filled with strange ships. They were huge, covered in purple armor that seemed to shift and glow. They moved in perfect formation like a school of fish. There were hundreds of them. They fired weapons that turned everything they touched into vapor. The colonies never had a chance to fight back. They never even had a chance to evacuate. Then came the message. Dr. James Chen worked in the xenolinguistics department. He had spent 20 years preparing to talk to aliens if humans ever found them. He ran into Elena's office carrying a data pad, his hands shaking so badly he almost dropped it. "They sent us something," he said. "It's in their language, but my computer translated it." Elena took the pad. The message was short. Only 2 sentences. She read them 3 times, feeling rage build inside her chest like a fire. "You are beneath notice. Do not expand further, beneath notice." They had killed 2,300,000 people, mothers and fathers, children, babies who had been born just days ago. They killed them all and said humanity was beneath notice. "Find out everything you can about these aliens," Elena said to Dr. Chen. Her voice was ice. "I want to know what they eat, how they think, where they live, and how they die." The United Government of Earth met in emergency session. Elena stood before them and showed them the recordings. She showed them the burning worlds. She showed them the message. Some of the government leaders cried. Some sat in stunned silence. Some started shouting about revenge. The vote took less than 5 minutes. Earth was going to war. Elena returned to her office late that night. She stood at the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the aliens who did this thought humanity would just accept it. They thought humans would stay quiet and small and afraid. They were wrong. Captain Osi came to see her the next morning. He had burns across his face and arms from the attack. He refused medical treatment until he could make his report in person. They were so confident, he told Elena. They did not even bother to check if anyone survived. They destroyed the colonies and left. Like we were insects they had stepped on. "Did you get any tactical data?" Elena asked. Ose nodded and handed her a data chip. "Everything my ship's sensors recorded. Their weapons, their shields, their formation patterns. I watched them for 3 hours before I ran." "You did the right thing," Elena said. "Running is not cowardice when you are bringing back information that will help us kill them." Over the next week, the news spread across all human worlds. People were terrified. They were angry. They wanted to know if Earth could protect them. Elena held a press conference and told the truth. These aliens, they call themselves the Valorian Collective. They have 200 worlds. They have technology more advanced than ours. They have billions of people and thousands of ships. The reporters looked even more frightened. Then Elena smiled. It was not a friendly smile. But they made one crucial mistake, she continued. They destroyed our colonies. They killed our civilians. They left our military completely untouched. Our shipyards are still working. Our weapons factories are still running. Our soldiers are still alive and very, very angry. She leaned forward, looking directly into the cameras. The Valorians think this is over. They think we will hide and be quiet. They are about to learn something that every tribe and nation on Earth learned the hard way over thousands of years. When you hurt humans, we do not forgive. We do not forget. And we do not stop until we have paid you back for every drop of blood you spilled. Elena paused, letting her words sink in. They struck first. Now they will learn what happens when you awaken a species that spent its entire evolution learning how to kill. The broadcast ended. Across human space, people watched with tears in their eyes. They mourned the dead. They feared the future. But they also felt something else growing inside them. Something hot and sharp and unstoppable. Humanity was going to war, and this time the monsters were not coming from Earth. The factories on Earth never stopped running. They worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The sound of metal being shaped and welded filled the air. Workers took shifts that lasted 12 hours, then went home to sleep for 6 before coming back. Nobody complained. Everyone knew someone who died on New Perth or Horizon Station or Nova Brasilia. Elena walked through the Mars shipyards 3 weeks after the attack. The shipyards floated in space above the red planet, massive structures of steel and glass. Before the war, they built cargo ships and passenger vessels. Now they built only one thing: warships. We are running ahead of schedule, the chief engineer told her. His name was Marcus Webb, and he had not slept properly in days. Elena could see it in his eyes. We will have 50 new destroyers ready within a month. The heavy cruisers will take longer, maybe 2 months. We do not have 2 months, Elena said. She was not angry, just stating a fact. Every day we wait, the Valorians grow more confident. They think we are too scared to respond. Marcus nodded. Then we give you what we have now. 30 destroyers are ready for cruise. They are not pretty and they do not have all the upgrades we planned, but they will fly and they will fight. Elena smiled. Pretty is for peacetime. Right now I just need ships that can carry weapons and crews that want revenge. She was not wrong about the crews. 40,000 people volunteered for the military in the first week after the attack. By the end of the month, that number reached 200,000. The training facilities could not handle them all. Elena made a decision that shocked the military brass. She shortened basic training from 6 months to 6 weeks. We do not have time to make them perfect soldiers, she told her officers. We just need to make them dangerous. Dr. James Chen worked in a classified facility deep under the surface of the moon. He had a team of 50 linguists and computer experts. They analyzed every second of the Valorian transmission. They studied the message, the language patterns, even the electromagnetic signature of their communications. I found something, Chen told Elena during a video call. He looked exhausted but excited. The Valorians are old. Really old. Their language has barely changed in 800 years. Do you know what that means? Tell me, Elena said. It means they are stable. Too stable. Languages change when societies change, when they face challenges and adapt. But the Valorians have not faced any real challenges in centuries. Their last major war was 800 years ago. Elena leaned forward. They are soft, more than soft. They are complacent. They have forgotten how to fight a real war. Look at how they attacked us. They just showed up and destroyed targets. No strategy, no deception, no follow-up. They treated it like pest control, not warfare. This information changed everything. Elena called a meeting with her top officers and showed them Chen's report. They sat around a conference table deep inside Earth's military headquarters. The Valorians think they are dealing with primitives, Elena said. They think our technology is inferior, so we must be easy to defeat. They are wrong on both counts. She pulled up a holographic display showing human history. Battles from ancient Rome, the world wars, modern conflicts. Thousands of years of humans killing other humans with increasing efficiency. We are a young species in space, but we are old in war. We have been fighting each other since we learned to pick up rocks. Every human civilization learned how to wage war, and we got very, very good at it. Captain Kwame Osi stood up. He had been promoted after his survival at New Perth. His face still bore scars from the attack. What is our strategy, Admiral? He asked. Elena smiled that cold smile again. We are going to teach the Valorians something they have forgotten. We are going to show them what total war looks like. Over the next month, Earth's military revealed weapons and tactics that had been kept secret. Projects that were considered too dangerous or too expensive in peacetime were now unleashed. There were kinetic missiles that accelerated to nearly the speed of light. When they hit a target, they released more energy than nuclear weapons. There were nanite swarms, clouds of microscopic machines that could tear apart ship hulls molecule by molecule. There were quantum jammers that made enemy sensors useless. And there were AI-piloted ships, vessels with no crew that could perform maneuvers no human could survive. The Valorians followed rules in warfare. They had treaties and protocols about what weapons were acceptable. Humanity had no such agreements with them. Elena made it clear to everyone. They killed our civilians without warning. They did not declare war. They did not offer surrender. They just murdered millions and told us to stay quiet. So we will use every weapon we have. We will fight in ways they cannot imagine, and we will not stop until they beg for mercy. But Elena herself struggled with what she was unleashing. Late at night, she would stand in her quarters and look at pictures of the destroyed colonies. She thought about the children who died. Then she thought about what humanity was becoming. A young officer found her one night staring out the window at Earth below. "Are you okay, Admiral?" the officer asked. Elena did not turn around. "I am turning humanity into something terrifying. I am teaching an entire species to fight without mercy, to strike without warning, to destroy without hesitation. What if we cannot turn this off when the war ends?" The officer was quiet for a moment. "My sister lived on New Perth. She was a teacher. She taught first grade. The Valorians killed her and 25 six-year-old children in her classroom." Elena closed her eyes. "I do not know if we can turn it off, Admiral," the officer continued. "But I know we have to turn it on now, because if we do not, the Valorians will do this again, to us or to some other species they think is beneath notice." Elena nodded slowly. The officer was right. This was not about revenge, not anymore. This was about survival. This was about making sure the Valorians never did this to anyone else. The fleet assembled in orbit around Mars. 200 ships, more than humanity had ever gathered in one place. They were not as advanced as Valorian ships, but they were crewed by people who had nothing to lose and everything to fight for. Elena stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Retribution. The name had been her idea. She wanted the Valorians to know exactly what was coming for them. Dr. Chen had identified the nearest Valorian military base. It was called Kalesh Prime, a planet that served as a staging ground for their fleets. It was heavily defended with 500 warships in orbit. The other officers thought Elena was crazy to attack such a strong target. 200 ships against 500 was suicide by any reasonable calculation. But Elena was not interested in reasonable calculations anymore. "Set course for Kalesh Prime," she ordered. "Maximum speed." The fleet engaged their faster-than-light drives. They would reach the Valorian system in 3 days. Elena used that time to address her crews. She appeared on every screen in every ship. "In 3 days we will arrive at Kalesh Prime. We will be outnumbered more than 2 to 1. The enemy will be confident. They will think they have already won. This is exactly what we want them to think." She paused, looking directly into the camera. "Humans have a saying, never wound what you cannot kill. The Valorians wounded us at New Perth. They thought that would be enough to make us afraid. Instead, they made us angry. And now we are going to show them what happens when you awaken a Death World species." The transmission ended. Throughout the fleet, men and women checked their weapons and prepared for battle. They wrote messages to loved ones back home just in case. They said prayers to whatever gods they believed in. And they waited for the moment when humanity would strike back. On Earth, the families of the dead watched the news and waited too. They had cried enough. Now they wanted justice. Now they wanted the Valorians to feel the same fear and pain that humanity had felt. The fleet dropped out of faster-than-light speed at the edge of the Kalesh Prime system. Ahead of them, sensor screens lit up with hundreds of Valorian ships. Helena sat in her command chair and spoke one more time. "Show them what happens when you awaken a Death World species. All ships, attack." The Valorian commander at Kalesh Prime watched the human ships appear on his sensors. His name was Theron, and he had served in the Valorian military for 60 years. He looked at the tactical display and felt nothing but contempt. 200 primitive vessels, he said to his officers. They dare to challenge us here at one of our strongest bases. This will be over quickly. His second officer nodded. Should we hail them and offer terms of surrender? Theron considered it, then shook his head. No, the High Council wanted these creatures eliminated. We will do so efficiently. All ships attack formation. Target the largest vessels first. The Valorian fleet moved forward in perfect lines. 500 ships, each one twice the size of the largest human vessel. Their purple armor gleamed in the light of Kelesh Prime's star. They had fought this way for centuries and they always won. Then the humans did something the Valorians did not expect. They scattered. On the Retribution, Elena watched her fleet break apart into dozens of small groups. Some ships went high, some went low, some dove straight toward the planet. The Valorian formation tried to adjust, but they were too rigid, too used to fighting enemies that followed the rules. All wings, execute your attack patterns, Elena ordered. Remember, we do not need to destroy them all. We just need to hurt them badly enough that they break. The first human ships to make contact were the smallest and fastest. They carried no heavy weapons, just missiles and kinetic rounds. They flew straight at the Valorian lines, launching everything they had, then breaking away at the last second. The Valorians shot down most of them, but not all. 3 human destroyers did not break away. They were too badly damaged, engines failing, hulls breaching. But their crews did not abandon ship. Instead, they aimed their vessels directly at Valorian cruisers and kept firing their engines at maximum power. What are they doing? Theron's second officer asked, confused. They are flying directly into our ships. That is suicide. Evasive action. Theron shouted, but it was too late. The first destroyer hit a Valorian cruiser at tremendous speed. Both ships exploded in a ball of white-hot plasma. The second destroyer clipped a dreadnought, tearing open its side and sending it spinning out of control. The third destroyer missed its target but exploded so close that the shockwave disabled the shields of 5 nearby Valorian ships. They are ramming us, Theron whispered. He had never seen anything like it. In 800 years of Valorian military history, no enemy had ever deliberately crashed their ships into Valorian vessels. It was insane. It was wasteful. It was terrifying. Captain Kwame Osi led a wing of 20 human ships in a flanking maneuver. They came around the side of the Valorian formation, targeting their command ships. The Valorians focused their fire on them, shooting down half of Osei's wing in the first minute. But that was the plan. While the Valorians were distracted, Elena brought the main human fleet in from above. Heavy cruisers fired massive railguns that punched through Valorian shields. Plasma cannons heated enemy armor until it melted. And then came the kinetic missiles. These weapons had been theoretical before the war. They were considered too dangerous, too unpredictable. Each missile was a solid rod of tungsten accelerated to 90% of light speed. When they hit a target, the impact released as much energy as a nuclear weapon. The first missile struck a Valorian battleship in the center. The ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next there was only an expanding cloud of superheated gas. The second and third missiles hit in quick succession, destroying 2 more capital ships. Theron watched his fleet falling apart. Humans were fighting in ways he could not counter. They sacrificed small ships to kill large ones. They accepted terrible losses to achieve objectives. Their ships kept fighting even when they should have retreated. He had lost 50 ships already, and the battle had only been going on for 30 minutes. Send a distress signal to the High Council, Theron ordered. Tell them the humans are using prohibited weapons and tactics. Request immediate reinforcements. His communications officer worked frantically, then looked up with fear in his eyes. Commander, they are jamming all our long-range communications. We cannot send anything beyond this system. Elena had planned for this. Dr. Chen's quantum jammers were working perfectly, blocking all Valorian signals. No reinforcements would come because no one would know Kelesh Prime was under attack until it was too late. The battle raged for 6 more hours. Human ships fought with a fury that shocked the Valorians. Crews that should have evacuated stayed at their posts until the end. Ships with destroyed weapons used themselves as weapons. One human cruiser, its entire front section blown away and venting atmosphere, somehow kept its engines running long enough to collide with a Valorian carrier. Captain Osei's ship, the Defiant, was hit hard. His shields failed, his weapons were destroyed, and fire spread through the lower decks. His crew wanted to abandon ship. No, Osei said firmly. We have 1 weapon left. He pointed at the tactical display. A Valorian dreadnought was directly ahead of them, its shields down as it focused on fighting other human ships. Engineering. Give me every bit of power left in the reactor. Put it all to the engines. His chief engineer understood immediately. That will cause a meltdown in about 5 minutes, sir. Then we better hit them in 4, Osei said with a grim smile. The Defiant accelerated straight at the dreadnought. The Valorians saw them coming but did not take them seriously. One damaged destroyer was not a threat. They were wrong. At the last second, Osei activated the emergency evacuation. His crew had just enough time to reach the escape pods before the Defiant struck the dreadnought's side, and its reactor went critical. The explosion tore through both ships, and when the light faded, neither one existed anymore. Osei floated in his escape pod, watching the debris field. He had just destroyed one of the most powerful ships in the Valorian fleet. Humans did not give up even when they were dying. Theron finally accepted the truth. He was losing. His fleet was being destroyed by an enemy that should not have been able to challenge them. The humans were not more advanced and they were not more numerous, but they were willing to do things that Valorians could not imagine. All ships retreat to the surface, Theron ordered. We will regroup at the planetary defense stations. But Elena was not going to let them run. She sent a message to the Valorian commander on an open channel. Her face appeared on every Valorian ship's screen. This is Admiral Elena Curry of Earth. You destroyed our colonies without warning. You killed our civilians and told us we were beneath notice. Now you know the truth. You are not superior. You are not safe. And you are not forgiven. She paused, letting her words sink in. Surrender now, or we will destroy every ship in this system. Your choice. Theron looked at his tactical display. He had started with 500 ships. Now he had less than 200, and many of those were damaged. The humans had lost nearly half their fleet, but they were still fighting with the same intensity as when the battle started. He made his decision. This is Commander Theron of the Valorian Collective. We surrender. The words felt like poison in his mouth. No Valorian commander had spoken those words in 800 years. But he had no choice. The humans had won. Elena ordered a ceasefire. Human ships surrounded the remaining Valorian vessels, weapons still powered up and ready. Dr. Chen immediately started working on interrogating the captured Valorians. He needed to learn everything about their empire. On Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. Humans celebrated in the streets. They had struck back. They had won. The Valorian Collective, the ancient empire that thought humanity was beneath notice, had been defeated at Kalish Prime. But Elena did not celebrate. She stood on the bridge of the Retribution and looked at the casualty reports. 97 ships lost. 40,000 humans dead. They had won, but the price was terrible. Captain Osei's escape pod was recovered along with thousands of others. He came aboard the Retribution to report. His uniform was scorched and he limped badly, but he was alive. We did it, he said to Elena. We made them surrender. Elena nodded slowly. Yes, but this was just one battle. The Valorians have hundreds of worlds and thousands of ships. They will come at us with everything they have now. Osei's expression hardened. Then we will beat them again, and again, as many times as it takes. Elena looked at him and saw the future. This war was going to be long and bloody. Humanity would pay a terrible price, but they would not stop. They could not stop. Not until the Valorians understood that attacking humanity was the worst mistake they could ever make. She transmitted a message across all frequencies, knowing that eventually it would reach every corner of Valorian space. This is Earth. We did not want this war. You forced it upon us. You struck first. But we will finish it. And when we are done, the entire cosmos will remember what happens when you attack a species from a death world. They will remember that humanity does not forgive, does not forget, and does not stop. The message ended. Across Valorian space, millions of aliens received it and felt something they had not felt in centuries. Fear. The Valorian High Council met in their great chamber on Valoria Prime, the heart of their empire. The chamber was ancient, built 3,000 years ago when the Valorians first united their worlds. It had walls of crystal that showed the stars, and floors of polished stone where the footsteps of countless leaders had walked. Now those leaders sat in shocked silence as they watched the reports from Kalesh Prime. High Counselor Vorn spoke first. He was the oldest member, over 200 years old by human standards. This cannot be accurate. One human fleet defeated 500 of our finest warships? The military commander who brought the news bowed his head. The reports are confirmed, High Counselor. Commander Theron surrendered after losing more than half his fleet. The humans fought with tactics we have never encountered. They used their own ships as weapons. They accepted casualties that no civilized species would tolerate. Another council member, Sarah, leaned forward. What do you mean they used ships as weapons? They deliberately crashed damaged vessels into our ships, the commander explained. Even vessels that could have been saved. The crews stayed aboard until the moment of impact. It is unprecedented. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Using suicide tactics was something from ancient times, from the primitive wars that Valorians had left behind centuries ago. Modern warfare was civilized, controlled, fought by drones and at long distances. What the humans were doing was barbaric. We must respond with overwhelming force, Vorn declared. Gather every available ship. I want a fleet of 3,000 vessels. We will crush Earth and all its colonies in one decisive strike. The military commander hesitated. High Counselor, that will take months to assemble. We will have to pull ships from across the Empire. Many worlds will be left undefended. Then pull them, Vorn said coldly. These humans must be taught their place. We are the Valorian Collective. We have ruled this region of space for 800 years. We will not be challenged by primitives who barely learned to travel between stars. But while the Valorians gathered their massive fleet, Elena was not sitting idle. She knew they would come with everything they had. She also knew humanity could not win a straight fight against 3,000 ships. So she changed the rules. Elena divided her remaining forces into 20 small strike groups. Each group had only 10 to 15 ships, but they were fast and heavily armed. She sent them to different Valorian systems with simple orders: destroy everything of military value. Captain Ose led one of these groups. His new ship was called the Vengeance, another name chosen by Elena to send a message. He took his small fleet to a Valorian mining colony that produced the rare metals needed for their ship armor. The colony had only light defenses. Ose's ships destroyed the orbital facilities in less than an hour. He did not harm the civilian population, but he made sure they could not produce armor for Valorian ships anymore. Then he left before reinforcements could arrive. Across Valorian space, human strike groups did the same thing. They hit shipyards, supply depots, communication stations, and fuel refineries. They never stayed long enough to be trapped. They struck, destroyed their targets, and vanished. The Valorians called it cowardly. They said humans were afraid to fight a real battle. But the truth was that Elena understood something the Valorians had forgotten. War was not about honor or fair fights. War was about destroying your enemy's ability to wage war. Dr. Chen made another important discovery while interrogating the captured Valorians from Kelesh Prime. He found out about the Valorian communications network. It was ancient and sophisticated, connecting all their worlds instantly. But it had a weakness. They built it so long ago that they never updated the security protocols, Chen explained to Elena during a briefing. I think I can hack into it. Not to shut it down, but to listen. We could know everything they are planning. Elena approved the project immediately. Within weeks, Chen's team had broken into the Valorian network. Suddenly, humanity could hear every military communication, every order, every strategy session. The Valorians never knew they had been compromised. This intelligence changed everything. When the Valorians finally assembled their massive fleet of 3,000 ships, Elena knew exactly where they were going and when they would arrive. She also knew something else. The fleet was being pulled from defense posts all across Valorian space. Entire systems were now protected by only minimal forces. Elena gathered her officers for a critical meeting. On the holographic display, she showed them the Valorian fleet's planned route to Earth. They will arrive at Earth in 30 days, she said. They expect to find us waiting to defend our homeworld. Instead, we are going to do something they cannot comprehend. She changed the display to show multiple Valorian systems, all currently with reduced defenses. We are going to abandon the defense of Earth and attack 50 Valorian worlds simultaneously. The room erupted in protest. Defend Earth? That was insane. Earth was humanity's homeworld, the birthplace of their species. But Elena held up her hand for silence. The Valorians think we are like them. They think we value our worlds above all else. But they are wrong. We value survival, we value victory, and we value making sure they can never hurt us again. She pulled up another display showing Earth's massive defense satellites and automated weapon platforms. Earth is not defenseless. We have spent the last 3 months building the most powerful planetary defense system in human history. We have weapons in orbit that can destroy entire fleets. We have underground bunkers that can survive anything short of destroying the planet itself. Earth will survive, but what if it does not? One officer asked quietly. Elena's expression hardened. Then we will rebuild it after we have destroyed every Valorian world that supported this war. Because that is what total war means. You do not defend, you attack. You make your enemy regret ever starting the fight. It was the most controversial decision any human leader had ever made. But the military trusted Elena. She had won at Kelesh Prime when everyone said it was impossible. If she said this plan would work, they believed her. The human fleets dispersed across Valorian space, 50 small task forces, each targeting a different world. They would strike at the exact moment the Valorian armada reached Earth. The Valorians would have to choose between pressing their attack or defending their own worlds. Meanwhile, Dr. Chen continued his work with captured Valorians. He discovered something important. Not all Valorians supported the war. Many thought attacking the humans had been a mistake. Some even tried to speak out against it, but the High Council silenced them. Chen made contact with these dissidents using secret channels. He offered them information about the High Council's lies and failures. He showed them how the war was being lost, how human strike forces were destroying Valorian infrastructure, while their great fleet sailed toward a trap. The dissidents began spreading this information through Valorian civilian networks. Protests started on some Valorian worlds. Citizens questioned why their leaders had started a war with a species they knew nothing about. They asked why their defenders had been pulled away to fight on distant Earth, while human ships attacked their homes. The Valorian High Council tried to suppress the unrest, but it was too late. The foundation of their support was cracking. The day finally came. The Valorian armada of 3,000 ships arrived at Earth's solar system. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the outer edge, expecting to see human fleets waiting to defend their homeworld. Instead, they found Earth's orbital defenses, thousands of automated platforms and satellites, all armed with the latest weapons humanity could build. And from the surface, massive railguns fired projectiles the size of buildings into space. High Counselor Vorn himself led the armada. He looked at the defenses and felt a moment of doubt. Where were the human fleets? Why was Earth defended only by automated weapons? Then he received reports from across Valorian space. 50 worlds were under attack. Human forces were destroying shipyards, orbital facilities, and military bases. Civilian populations were panicking. Planetary governors were demanding protection. Vorn realized the truth. The humans had abandoned the defense of their own homeworld to attack Valorian territory. It was insane. It was ruthless. It was working. High Counselor, what are your orders? His second asked. Do we attack Earth or return to defend our worlds? Vorn stared at Earth on his view screen. The planet looked peaceful, blue and green and white, but he knew it was a trap. If he attacked, those orbital defenses would tear his fleet apart. Even if he won, the losses would be catastrophic. And while he fought here, 50 Valorian worlds were burning. But if he retreated without even trying to attack Earth, he would look weak. The High Council would lose credibility. The dissidents would grow stronger. He was trapped, and the humans had planned it perfectly. We attack, Vorn ordered finally. All ships advance. Destroy the orbital defenses. The Valorian armada moved forward. Earth's defenses opened fire. Railguns accelerated tungsten rods to tremendous speeds. Laser platforms burned through Valorian shields. Missile batteries launched thousands of warheads. And from hidden positions on Earth's moon, humanity unveiled its newest weapon. Stellar destabilization technology. Weapons designed to kill stars. Vorn's armada watched in horror as a distant, uninhabited star suddenly began to collapse. Its fusion processes became unstable. Its output spiked dramatically. And within hours it exploded in a supernova. The demonstration was clear. Humanity could kill worlds not by invading them, not by bombing them, but by destroying their suns. Vorn received a transmission from Earth. It was Admiral Elena Khoury. High Counselor Vorn. Elena's voice was calm and cold. You came here to destroy my world. Instead, you will watch your empire burn. Right now, 50 of your worlds are under attack. Your people are losing faith in you. Your dissidents are growing stronger, and we have just shown you that we can destroy any star in your empire. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. You struck first. You thought we were weak. You thought we would submit. Instead, you have awakened something that should have been left alone. You have awakened humanity's capacity for total war. And now the cosmos trembles. High Counselor Vorn stared at Admiral Curie's face on his view screen. Behind him, his fleet was taking heavy losses from Earth's orbital defenses. Ships exploded every few seconds. The defensive weapons were more powerful than any intelligence reports had suggested. And now the humans claimed they could destroy stars. This is a bluff, one of his officers said nervously. They cannot possibly have such technology. But Vorn had watched the recording. He had seen a star die in hours instead of billions of years. The humans were not bluffing. They had somehow developed weapons that could kill entire solar systems. Open a channel, Vorn said quietly. I will speak with the human admiral. Elena appeared on the screen again. Behind her, Vorn could see the bridge of her flagship. Human officers worked calmly at their stations as if this massive battle was just another day of work. I'm listening, Elena said. Vorn struggled to find words. Pride demanded he fight to the last ship. Duty demanded he protect Valorian lives. The two were in conflict for the first time in his long life. What are your terms? He finally asked. Elena did not smile or gloat. She simply stated facts. The Valorian collective must dissolve. Your empire ends today. Each of your worlds will become independent. Those who ordered the attack on our colonies will face trial for war crimes. You will share all your technology with humanity, and we will share ours with you, and you will acknowledge publicly that humanity is your equal in all matters. That is surrender, Vorn said bitterly. Yes, Elena agreed. Complete and total surrender. But it is also survival. Continue fighting and we will destroy every Valorian world. Accept these terms and your people will live. They will be free of your corrupt High Council. They will have a chance to build something better. Vorn closed his eyes. 800 years of Valorian dominance, ended by a species that had been in space for only 30 years. It was humiliating. It was unthinkable. It was necessary. I cannot agree to these terms alone, Vorn said. The full High Council must vote. Elena nodded. You have 1 hour. After that, my fleet commanders have orders to begin destroying Valorian stars. Starting with Valoria Prime. The channel closed. Vorn immediately opened communications to the High Council back on the homeworld. The other counselors were in chaos. They had received reports of the attacks across their empire. They had heard rumors about the star-killing weapon. Some called for continued resistance. Others demanded immediate negotiation. The debate raged for 55 minutes. Finally, they voted. 7 counselors for surrender, 5 against. It was enough. Vorn contacted Elena again. The High Council accepts your terms. We surrender. Across human space, people watched the transmission and erupted in celebration. Earth had survived. The war was over. Humanity had won. But for Elena, standing on the bridge of the Retribution, there was no joy. She had just forced the surrender of an empire of 200 worlds. She had threatened to commit genocide on a scale never seen before. Yes, it was necessary. Yes, it saved lives. But the weight of it crushed down on her shoulders. Captain Osei returned from his strike mission 2 days later. He came to Elena's quarters and found her standing at the window, looking out at the stars. We did it, he said. The war is over. Why do you not seem happy? Elena turned to face him. Do you know what we became to win this war, Kwame? We became the thing we feared. We became ruthless. We showed the galaxy that humanity will do anything, destroy anything, kill anything to survive. The Valorians struck first, yes. They killed our innocents, but we responded by threatening to kill their stars, to destroy billions of lives. Osei nodded slowly. I understand. But what choice did we have? They would have kept attacking. They would have destroyed all of us eventually. I know, Elena said. That is what keeps me awake at night. Knowing that I made the right decision, and knowing that the right decision was to threaten extinction. The peace process took months. Dr. Chen worked with Valorian dissidents to establish a new government structure. The old High Council was dissolved. Vorn and the other counselors who voted to attack humanity faced trial. They were found guilty of ordering attacks on civilian populations and sentenced to life imprisonment. The Valorian Empire fragmented into dozens of independent systems. Some prospered, others struggled, but all of them were free for the first time in centuries. Humanity kept its word. They shared technology with the Valorians, advanced medical techniques, agricultural improvements, peaceful technologies that would help rebuild. But they also kept their weapons. The star-killing technology was locked away. known only to the highest levels of Earth's government. It existed as a deterrent, a final threat to anyone who might think about attacking humanity again. The other species in the galaxy watched all of this with mixed feelings. Some were grateful that humanity had stopped Valorian expansion. The Valorians had been aggressive neighbors, always pushing at borders, always demanding tribute. Now they were broken, but other species feared humanity. They saw how humans fought. They saw the ruthlessness, the willingness to accept terrible losses, the refusal to surrender even when outnumbered. They saw weapons that could kill stars, and they decided that humans should be left alone. A new galactic assembly formed, with representatives from hundreds of worlds. Humanity was invited to join. Elena herself went as Earth's first ambassador. She stood before the assembly and gave a speech that would be remembered for generations. "We did not want this war," she began. "We explored space hoping to find friends. Instead, we found enemies who attacked without warning or mercy. We were forced to fight, and we fought with everything we had. Some of you fear us now. You should. Not because we want to harm you, but because we have proven we can." She paused, looking around the chamber at dozens of alien species. "But humanity also offers something else. We offer friendship to those who treat us fairly. We offer trade. We offer protection to the weak. We offer justice to the oppressed. The Valorians struck first and we made them regret it. But we did not destroy them. We freed them from tyrants and gave them a chance to rebuild." Another pause. "This is humanity's promise to the galaxy. Treat us with respect and we will be your greatest allies. Treat us with violence and we will be your worst nightmare. The choice is yours." The assembly voted to admit humanity as a full member. Treaties were signed. Trade routes opened. Slowly, carefully, humanity began to build relationships with other species. Captain Osei left the military and returned to New Perth. The colony had been rebuilt and he helped oversee the construction. Standing on the surface of the planet where millions had died, he placed a memorial. It listed the names of every person who had been killed in the Valorian attack. At the bottom, it had a simple inscription: "They struck first. We finished it. May both sides remember the cost of war." Dr. Chen established the first human-Valorian cultural exchange program. Young people from both species studied together, learned each other's languages, and worked to build understanding. It was slow work. The hatred and fear did not disappear overnight. But it was a start. Years passed. The human military remained strong, always ready, always vigilant. But they also built schools and hospitals and research stations. They helped terraform new worlds for colonization. Not just for humans, but for any species that needed homes. The galaxy learned to respect humanity. Some species admired humans for their determination and ingenuity. Others feared them for their capacity for violence. Most felt both emotions at once. Admiral Elena Curry retired after 10 years of service. She was offered positions in government, chances to shape humanity's future in peaceful times. She declined them all. Instead, she bought a small house on the coast of Earth and spent her days looking at the ocean. A reporter found her there one day and asked if she had any regrets. Elena thought for a long time before answering. "I regret that the war was necessary. I regret every life lost, human and Valorian, but I do not regret fighting it. Because if we had not, humanity might have been destroyed, and I could not let that happen." "Do you think humans will always be warriors?" the reporter asked. Elena smiled. "I think humans will always be survivors. We survived ice ages and plagues and wars with ourselves. We survived when the Valorians tried to eliminate us. We will survive whatever comes next. That is what we are. That is what makes us human." On Valoria Prime, a young Valorian student named Thera sat in her history class. Her teacher was explaining the war, how it started and how it ended. Thera raised her hand. "Teacher, why did the High Council think they could defeat the humans?" The teacher, an old Valorian who had lived through the war, sighed deeply. Because they forgot an important lesson. They forgot that power is not just about technology or numbers. Real power comes from will, from determination, from the refusal to give up. The humans had all of that. We had forgotten what it meant. "Are humans evil?" another student asked. The teacher shook her head. "No, humans are dangerous, but they are not evil. They showed mercy when they could have destroyed us. They helped us rebuild when they could have left us in ruins. They taught us something valuable. They taught us that some species, when threatened, do not just fight back. They fight until the threat ceases to exist." "Will there be another war?" Thara asked quietly. I hope not, the teacher said. But if there is, it will not be with humanity. We learned our lesson. You do not attack a species from a death world unless you are prepared to face consequences that will shake the entire cosmos. The class ended. The students left. Thara walked home under the purple sky of Valoria Prime and thought about what she had learned. She looked up at the stars and knew that somewhere out there humanity was watching. Always ready. Always vigilant. The Valorians had struck first. Humanity's retribution had trembled through the cosmos. And the galaxy would never forget. In the end, peace came not from trust, but from understanding. All species now understood what would happen if they threatened humanity. And humanity understood the terrible power they possessed. It was not a perfect peace, but it was peace nonetheless. And in the vast darkness of space, that was enough.